an outlaw motorcycle gang. One of the requirements to become a part of this gang was to steal Harley Davidsons. And yes, we know that they were all about the Harleys and stealing Harleys. I have received a tip as to the location to where they dumped these motorcycles. Yellow Corvette. I don't know if this is true or not, but he was with his wife or his girlfriend. They were on a coke binge. The cops ended up like lighting up behind him one night, and he ended up dumping the car in the river, and then they ended up taking a taxi back home. She had heard stories about to where he would actually steal cars, and then he had to go on the run. He ended up over in Hawaii for a while where there was some silver stolen. He is the one that is responsible for the Jaguar. Just to confirm, you're not recording this right now. No, I'm not. So let's hear it. With this, what I'm about to tell you, I didn't do it. I was in prison, and this is one of those things that, my cellmate had this information. Take it as a jailhouse rumor or truth or whatever you want. But so now we're talking homicide.
So here we are back in part 3 with Jared Leisek. So we've discussed how he got into all of this in part 1. And some of the exciting bits and pieces in part 2 there that you'll have to go back and listen to. So in part 3, we're now going to get to the sort of nitty gritty of it all and find out what you've found and some of the things that you've had to go through and find closure for families, things like that. So Craig, you've got the first question for Jared, haven't you?
Well, I don't know before you even go too far down this rabbit hole. I mean, we're already into part 3, and I didn't even ask. I mean, is this just like a little thing between the two of you, or do people actually watch and listen to what it is that you guys have going on here?
No, this is just me and Jim. Sometimes our wives watch, but only every other episode. So the first question I've got is, what was the most exciting or the coolest thing that you've actually found? Something that's made you go, wow.
You know what? If you go and you look at the thumbnail of the MK2 and the Jaguar. Yeah. I mean, just looking at that and just the experience on it and just the coolness factor of it. I mean, for me, it's almost like the Roger Rabbit tune car or going to Disneyland or Disney World and driving the little Autotopia cars, that it just has that cartoon feel to it because it had been underwater for so long. A lot of things had already come off of it, and just the shape of it, and the tires were flat and it just low to the ground. So for me, that has been like the coolest recovery. And it was actually, one of our first 10, I think, that we actually ever did.
Even had a toolkit still in the back of it, didn't it?
It did, on that one, yeah.
And what have you done with the tools?
We gave those. I think Mark ended up with the tools.
Oh, right, cool.
which brings me to what did I used to do with the stuff and what do I do with it now? Yeah. When we started, like the first 100 episodes, if you saw like my 100th episode, I had like a lot of stuff I kept in the backyard, and I quickly realized that I was becoming a hoarder, and I got rid of like everything. I'm like, I'm not keeping this stuff anymore. And so anybody that comes out with me, I mean, we found those 100-year-old saw blades and other cool stuff, and I just don't drag that stuff home anymore. I'm appreciative of those that are out there for the day. It's an incredible experience for them, and so I make sure that if we find something cool, that I give that to those that have been helping out for the day as an appreciation token.
Yeah, that makes sense because you're the storyteller and they're just part of the story. You don't need to hoard that stuff anymore. The fact that you're there telling the story is enough.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people are like, well, you can make a lot of money on that and you could, sell it with. That's just a lot of work to bring it home. I mean, bring it home, clean it up, list it, and do all that stuff. And yeah, we could make some money with it, but I just enjoy the content and the storytelling portion of it.
Okay, so that leads on quite nicely then. What is the most valuable thing that you've found?
Wow. Yeah. Most valuable? I mean, the appropriate answer is finding resolution for those who lost their loved ones and bringing them home. That is the most important, the most priceless. You can't put a value on that.
No. Good answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so then the most valuable inanimate object then?
Oh, yeah, you had to specify. You better ask these questions the right way. That's a really tough one. I mean, we found like some wedding rings and stuff like that, but nothing of like real high dollar value. I mean, it's more of the cars. What was the value of the car at the time that it went missing? That's where the big money is. So if you start adding up all the cars, I mean, we're into it for, 5, 6, 700,000, maybe $1 million in stuff that we found over the past year and a half.
Some of these cars are clearly from some type of auto accident, but there seems to be a lot like the bottom of boat ramps. So is this kids dumping them, or are they stolen and dumped, or what? Why? Where have they come from?
Yeah, you're either dealing with a stolen vehicle that was used on a joyride, insurance fraud, or suicide. Yellow Corvette. You guys seen that episode? Okay, so the backstory on that one, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm going to tell you the stories that I have received on it that from a couple of different sources that have the same story, that they were unrelated sources. Okay.
Interesting.
Anyway, it was a Corvette from the 80s, and in the 80s you had like, I'm going to say, the douchebaggery type of guys that had money that owned businesses. Okay. Yeah. And I'm not saying all Corvette owners from the 80s were like this, but I'm just going to say that that's how the story is going. So the story goes that after we found this car and months later, I get a couple of different messages that says, you know what? I never believed my boss when he told me the story, but I now know that he wasn't lying. And so the boss had evidently bragged to a couple different workers along the way about a night that he was in Portland, that he was with his wife or his girlfriend. They were on a coke binge. He had a large company that had a government contract, and he could not afford to lose this contract. And the cops ended up like lighting up behind him one night. And so he threw it into, top gear, and he was able to elude the police. He ended up dumping the car in the river, and then they ended up taking a taxi back home about an hour and a half up, to town, an hour and a half away to where he actually lived. That is a story as to how that Corvette ended up in the river. True or not, I don't know. I can tell you about the Jaguar. I can tell you about that one is I got a message from a granddaughter whose grandfather had passed away, and she had heard stories about him back in the 60s, or 60s, early 70s, to where he would actually steal cars, and then he had to go on the run. He ended up over in Hawaii for a while, ended up with a Hawaii silver mint over there where there was some silver stolen, and then he later on ended up back in the U.S. But evidently he is the one that is responsible for the Jaguar that was in the river over there. Wow. I also have another crazy story that we're going to go research next week, possibly next week. And this one has to do with an outlaw motorcycle gang from the late 60s, early 70s, where one of the requirements to become a part of this gang was to steal Harley Davidsons. So I've spoken with some people about this, and they're like, yeah, during that time, I had a Harley that was stolen. Yes, I know about the gang, and yes, we know that they were all about the Harleys and stealing Harleys. I have received a tip as to the location to where they dumped these motorcycles in the river. It's over 90 feet deep, and supposedly there are over 300 Harley Davidsons down there that we're going to go check out. Can you imagine if I found 300 Harleys down there? I mean, they're going to be like 40 or 50 years old now, but I've been told that even this time now, that even those engine blocks are worth $1,000 each. Like that would be a $300,000 find if we actually find this.
What state is this? Oregon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually up there in Portland. So there's a section of the river that's over 100 feet deep. That I've been in that area, but I've not scanned it with sonar yet. So we're gonna go throw some sonar on it and see if there's I've been told that this nephew that called me, he's like, hey, you know what? My uncle, I was really close to him, and then he disappeared out of my life for 30 years. And when he came back, he told me this story. I took a fish finder over there. It's not a good one, but I identified that there is a mound of some sort there. Can you come up? Can you check it out for me? This story, I want to know if this story is true or not. I don't have any reason why my uncle would lie to me. And he's older now. He's an older gentleman now that's, in his 60s or so.
And so you're doing this next week?
Probably the end of next week. I'll be checking that one out.
So what day do we need to book our flight?
Yeah, right. So many crazy stories, though. Another crazy story. If you guys have time.
Yeah. You're the one. We thought you didn't have time. You carry on. We'll be here all night, Jared.
Well, I've got things to do, but I'll give you some more time. So I get a phone call about 2 weeks ago, and it starts off with the, hey, is this Jared? I'm like, yeah. Is it Jared from Adventures with Purpose? I'm like, yeah. Oh, man. He goes, it took me a while to find you. I had to go through like 3 or 4 different websites to find your phone number. I'm so glad I got a hold of you. I said, yeah. I said, what can I do for you? He goes, first of all, am I being recorded? I said, no. I said, but A, anytime the conversation starts off like that, I know it's going to be good. 2, you are on speakerphone with, my wife and my daughter are here, so they're going to hear everything that you say. He goes, okay, but just to confirm, you're not recording this right now. I said, no, I'm not. So let's hear it. He goes, all right. He goes, I'm in my 70s now. He goes, with this, what I'm about to tell you, I didn't do it. Okay. But I used, I was in prison, and this is one of those things that, my cellmate had this information and had shared it with another guy, and they thought that I was sleeping, but I wasn't really sleeping. And so take it as a jailhouse rumor or truth or whatever you want, but it's been bothering me for years. I've never told anybody about it. And I've seen your show. I love what you're doing. And I know that if anybody can figure this out and solve it, if it's true or not, it's you. I said, all right. I said, what have you got? Now, let me tell you, the amount of detail that this guy goes into, I question, did he do it or not? I have my wife is like, I'm like, he did it. She's like, I don't think he did it. I'm like, listen, I did.
I thought he did it the second he said I didn't do it. I knew he did it.
So he tells me about a quarry. Okay, and it's a place where I'm going to be traveling past again, later in September, October, and we are definitely going to go there and check it out. And so he's like, all right. He goes, so and so aluminum company. It was named, such and such back in the day. Then it got bought out by Kaiser, whoever aluminum. They changed their name. It's now closed. But here's the 3 quarries. And if you come out of this town and you go up about 5 miles, that's where the quarry's at. There's 3 of them now. Now, before you get to the first one on the right, there's a driveway. And so I'm pulling this up on Google, and I'm like following along with the story. He goes, okay, so this is that first driveway is where the union workers would go down. They'd have the break, and there's a picnic table down there, and there's 3 tin sheds. He goes, and the quarry is about 230 feet deep right there. He goes, now it was a dark and stormy night. And I don't know if you know anything about I'll say the state. I won't tell you the city yet because I'm gonna go check this out. So anyway, he goes, if you know anything about Missouri storms, he goes, man, they really come through and they just like clean up all evidence of anything. So anyway, so it was a dark and stormy night, and now, like I said, I didn't do it, but if I was to do it, I would have been, another 50 or 50 yards north of that picnic table and where the 3 tin sheds were at, because it's a little bit deeper there. He goes, now by the next morning, there were no tire tracks, and all evidence of this had been washed away. And so the car was gone, the tire tracks were gone, and nobody knows. And this family just needs to know what happened to their loved. So now we're talking homicide. We're not talking about just a car that's in the river. We're talking, I said, is this a homicide? I asked him specifically. He said, yes, it is a homicide, and the family needs to know what happened to him. I said, okay. He says, he goes, now I don't want any cops involved. He goes, I don't want them ever knowing who I am. I said, treat this as a reporter. I said, I am a content creator, and I don't know if I fall into the media, whatever, and I have to keep my confidential information confidential, but I respect that, So here's the thing. If anybody has like any crazy stories from the past and they're true, I will always make sure that your information is stay confidential, because I am a man of my word. Anyway, so I think that he did it. It happened in either 80 or 81. He said he couldn't remember the exact year because he didn't do this.
He didn't do it.
But he knows the year. He knows it was a dark and stormy night. He knows that the tire tracks were gone the next morning. He knows that somebody's in the car. And he knows the depth of the quarry. Yeah. So in order for us to do this, though, we have a new sponsor that should be coming on board, is Video Ray. They make underwater ROVs with manipulator claws and sonar and all that stuff. Like these, like $45,000 or $80,000 units that they're going to sponsor us. And so we're going to take that. Also has a retrieval tool. So because it's 230 feet deep, where it's deeper than we can dive. We'll actually use the drone, identify that if there is a car there, which it sounds like that there is. Then we will use the retrieval tool to attach one of our recovery straps to it, and then we'll do a staged lift to then bring it to the surface. Is what we'll do with this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it has developed quite a lot. It's a lot different now then with this equipment to how it started out. It's just, you need more equipment, don't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we're so appreciative of all of the sponsors that have stepped up to help with gear and for allowing us to help promote them. And that's what, I mentioned back in part 1, that we started this as a business. We started this as a business so that we could travel on other people's dime and do something good for the world, because I don't know what my purpose is here in life. But, I know that at the end of it, I want people to say, you know what, 1, my life is better because of Jared. And 2, he really made a change in the world. And yeah, I hope that people remember me when I'm gone.
You've even got a UK sponsor, haven't you?
Yeah, we got O3 custom dry suits. They have been incredible. They came on. In fact, I think they came on with this. I only had like 4 or 6 or 8,000 subscribers at the time, but they saw what we were doing. They loved the environmental cleanup. They got behind us. I'm loyal to them. They've got great suits, and I do like their new 90 the best though. The new one. I mean, you guys over there in the UK, you guys are all like weird and funky diving neoprene suits all the time, and they're nice and good.
I'm driving an 03. I've got
he
my
drives in an 03, and we were only chatting to the 03 guys last week. They're a great company, a great bunch of guys, and don't need to tell you that you've been involved with them for a long time. Just going back to that story with the car, you sort of finished up there.
Wait, I'm not done plugging 03.
Sorry.
03.
Carry on with 03.
My love is the new front donning 90 dry suit. It is like, I mean, you can, whether you want a neoprene latex or, the silicone seal. I like the silicone seals, but they're all interchangeable. The Kubi dry gloves. I mean, I've got and they don't list the full face mask hoods on their site, but that's the little secret, is if you're going to be doing the full face mask, make sure that you pick up a full face hood as well. So that way, yeah, it's just a real comfortable fit. So that's my plug for 03. Incredible sponsors, incredible people, incredible suits. I stand behind them 100%. Going back to the car, what was your question?
Yeah. So what I was just going to say there is that you were talking about that being a homicide, and as everyone knows, you've got involved in some rescue work or recovery work where bodies have been involved, and obviously that's a sensitive subject, but can you tell us a bit more about some of those incidences?
One is as we continue to learn, more techniques with diving and everything, but we also learn how to interact with these families properly, because it is a sensitive thing. For me, I'm coming into this with hey, I have a job. It's black and white. I'm here to bring resolution and closure for you. And so one thing is, in the beginning, everything was closure. Well, it's never really closure for them. It's just a resolution to the next step of bringing the family member home. So now that way they can move on to the next step that they never do have actual closure. So that's the one thing to always keep in mind when we are communicating with them is, I'm here to do my best to bring you the best news under the circumstances. And so it's proper wording and phrasing with that one. And I'm here to, hopefully I can bring you resolution to help you move on, with the next portion of your lives in the unfortunate circumstance. And with that, we have a couple things that we're dealing with. One is we're dealing with localities that we're going into where those agencies have egos of their own, to where okay, maybe you have a fire department that they have some people that have been certified in diving, but they really don't have any real world experience. Yeah, they went through all the coursework and I'm a rescue diver and I'm Swiftwater and I've been, and I've got this, certificate and blah, blah, blah. Okay, but have you done this, or this? Well, no. And that's probably why you're not even getting in the water, right? Well, yeah. Great. You know what? I have none of those because you didn't ask me for any of them. Here's the thing: people have never asked me for any certificate that says, "Jared, do you have a certificate to be doing this?" No, I have the experience and I have a resume to show it. So you are dealing with those egos. So you have to be sensitive to that, and then you're also dealing with the, hey, it's a sensitive subject for you. Do you mind if I put a camera on you as well? So that's what makes it really tough. But at this point, also, they just want answers, and so they don't care how you get it, and they're more than happy to allow the camera to be there to document this as well. And the more that we document, I think that it eases the sensitivity of this, that they see, all right, yes, we're not just a, for show. We're actually here to, show that these things are happening. We're here to spread the message of we have the ability to help. And 100%, are we putting this on YouTube and are we making money off of it? 100% we are. So that way we can help the next family.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you didn't earn money, you couldn't go on and do it again and again and again.
And that's a good point, is that 100%, if we were not putting this on YouTube and Facebook, we would not have the financial means nor the time to do this, because YouTube and Facebook has given us the ability to make this our full-time profession and gig with nobody else paying the bills for us. It's almost like it's free money to go help people.
Yeah. It must be incredibly satisfying because of that. Out of everything that you do and finding cool cars and all of that closure, for want of a better word, but that ability for them to move to the next step, to grieve, that must be the most valuable, the most satisfying part of anything you do, surely.
100%, and it's really becoming an addiction for us of, hey, we don't want to just find cars. We want to find cars to bring that resolution for more families. And that's why we're starting to travel the U.S. and follow up on a lot of these cold cases that we have information on, because, some of these parents, it's been 30 years and they're getting older and they're not going to make it that much longer. And I mean, can you imagine, leaving this world not knowing if your son was ever found?
Yeah. That must be just awful. So are these people coming direct to you, Jared, or so it's not the sheriff, the local sheriff, or it's actually people finding you because of what you've done?
It has never been any local agencies. It has always been either viewers that see it on the news with a story that's been brought back up again, that's 10 years old. They're trying to get more information. They're trying to bring it back to light, make sure it stays in the limelight. Very rarely is it, I'm going to say 20% of the time it's a family member, and then the other 80% it's our viewers. This also then brings us into, guess what we might have coming up? It's not a done deal yet. We're under a shopping agreement, but we may have our own TV show on one of the major networks. I can't tell you which major network, nor can I tell you the working title of this, but it has to do with diving, and it has to deal with finding and bringing resolution to families. It's a show that I would watch. Anybody that's into crime series, dramas, 100%. This is a spin on, you've never seen anything like this on television ever before. And what's so real about it is, I told him, I said, we don't fake anything. We're authentic. We don't deceive people. And, and we get letters and emails from people all the time. Like, let me grab this one. Those that are just listening to the podcast, you can't see it, but we get letters like this. This is from an actual police officer that also sent me, a pack that said, your show is so refreshing and so real that I can actually watch it with my family. My 4-year-old loves it. My 8-year-old loves watching your show. I love watching your show. The mystery of, is there something going? What are you pulling up? And is there going to be something in it? And are you helping a family? And, and so, this little boy ended up writing me a letter. And so here's what the boy ended up saying. He says, I will try to find the Ford Ranger. I want to be a diver also. Goodbye. See you later.
Wow.
And the Ford Ranger that he is referencing is the missing bridesmaid that we've now put 2 of those videos online. It's a 30-year-old cold case of a missing bridesmaid up here in Oregon. There's a lot of waterways. If she's in the water, we're going to find her. We also have a rumor that she may have been buried up in the forest, vehicle and all. We don't know. We have a lead as to where that location is as well. So anyway, so we have some more searching. We're going to be searching for her more next week as well. So hopefully we can bring a resolution to her mom before her mom is also, you know, aging and getting older as well.
I think you really found your calling.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, what's it going to be, you know, 12 months from now? If you would have told me 12 months ago we'd be where we're at now, I would have not believed you. I'll be like, yeah, right, Craig, whatever. But yes, it's been incredible. What's also nice is, you know, I'm at this stage in my life where my youngest is 20. She just started her own business. I've got a 23-year-old. I've got a wife that's loving and supportive. When she chooses to travel with me, she can. If she doesn't want to travel with me, she doesn't. It's a guy's adventure time to where we go do this stuff and we make a difference in the world.
Obviously, that is a focus for you, isn't it? Recovering vehicles, recovering bodies. You've sort of given up on the sunglasses and the mobile phones now.
Oh, so yawn. I won't even look for those anymore. Like if it's like if I happen to stumble across one, I mean, I'll throw it in the trunk of the car or something at that point.
That's so yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I often joke also, they're like, well, you should go dive with, you know, and they name off like the other 2 or 3 other channels on YouTube that are bigger and that are doing diving. And I said, that's cute that those boys are doing that. I said, yeah, but I got man things to go do.
Big boy stuff.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask a couple more questions about some of the stuff that you found. So what's the oldest or most historic thing that you found? I mean, like American Civil War stuff. Have you found anything like that? Or what's the most historic thing you've found?
I mean, I can't say that anything really big or historic. I mean, the saw blades are cool. You know, they're over 100 years old, but nothing much older than that. And I mean, some old wagon wheels that I drug a few home that actually did end up in the wife's garden. So I do have some, you know, old rusty stuff there from the late 1800s. But, you know, we don't have the old history like you guys have. So I'm kind of jealous of what you guys do have over there. And I also hear that you guys have some really incredible locations where there might be some tanks in the water still. And I would love to, since I am in the custom lift bag business now and I'm making my own bags, and yeah, I'd love to bring over some custom lift bags and, hey, let's go pull some big stuff out. And
you got 2 new friends who can dive.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's also wearing 03. So we can really do a nice little 03 sponsorship as well. Once we can start traveling over there again, I heard that they shut down your entire country to U.S. people.
Yeah, pretty much to everyone.
Yeah. I had plans to actually go down to Australia in October. Was my initial plan, because I got another dive buddy down there, and he found 7 cars for me. I'm like, well, let me come on down, and I'll teach you how to lift cars.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because back in the 60s, Kennedy got you to the moon. Now you can't even get to Europe.
Yeah, you're right. So anyway, I mean, as you guys dive, like what type of diving do you do? And now that you're seeing more of what we've been doing, is it going to change kind of where you're going and what you're looking for?
Well, I've got to say that after watching a few of your videos, I was inspired. And just 3 days ago, my office overlooks a river. And the hire boats, this was on Friday night. On Saturday, for the first time in 3 months, the river's opening up to all of the hire boats, and there's thousands of them. So all of the moorings are empty. So I jumped in the water Friday night, didn't have a metal detector, but I went up and down the empty moorings and pulled out mobile phones and pagers and sunglasses, and I spent an hour underwater with my son on land cover, and I had a ball, absolute ball.
Yeah. So now start compiling a list of cars for me, and then as long as you have like 5 or 10, let's make it 10. Let's just make it 8. If you can find me 8 cars, I will make a trip over and come hang out with you the moment that they let me start traveling again.
That's the deal. We'll see how many Jags we can find.
Yeah, you know, I was told also, they're like, you know what you're doing in the U.S., I don't know how you get away with it, because over here in the U.K., they have agencies do that. And if you try to do that as a private citizen, you'll get in so much trouble. I don't think we will. What are your thoughts on that?
We did have this conversation in Craig, because I said, well, we can't do that, can we? Craig said, yeah, we can.
Love that motto. Don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness.
And just act like you're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm supposed to be here. We're pulling this out today. We got the tow truck coming.
Yeah. But I will say that diver I didn't mention was I took down 2 mesh bags and filled 1.5 of those with cans, bottles, a whole load of human detritus that have been dropped off of boats, besides mobile phones and all that sort of stuff. So I did genuinely do a proper clean up in the area I was.
Yeah. And if you start posting those videos online and then you do a video where you happen to swim over something and not pick it up, the audience will eat you up. They're like, you're not doing enough to clean up the environment. They'll get mad at you. but they're also now getting mad at me if I don't bring up a car. Like, okay, wait a minute.
Why didn't you bring a car?
I just showed you a car. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get that car today. And now you're mad at me because I didn't do enough to clean up the environment. I'm like,
that's not good enough.
Wait till you bring up the tanks, Jared.
Yeah. Find me a tank.
Yeah.
We can find a tank, surely.
Speaking of tank, I have a helicopter to go get this year as well. So October, I think I'm going to pull a helicopter up.
Wow,
That'd be
really?
cool.
Yeah. And what's the story behind that?
That one, it was doing a poker run race where it was like a boat race and they were filming it. And they came around, they came in too low, they caught a skid and ended up sinking the helicopter. Both of the guys got out, they survived. But yeah, there's like 30 grand in equipment on board, and it's been under there for like 10 years. It's 106 feet deep. No, it's in a lake in Kentucky.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I get a lot of phone calls and emails also about bulldozers being in a lot of these either dams that filled up before they were supposed to when they were making a lot of these reservoirs back in the late 70s, or a lot of quarries that were digging out and then they happened to hit a natural spring and flooded the entire quarry before they could get equipment out.
Yeah, I should imagine you're going to need a few lift bags for something like a dozer.
Yeah, I got some. Yeah, like I said, we're building some new 10,000-pound lift bags. Is what we have for that snowcat that we're building. But yeah, yeah.
So it's amazing, isn't it? Amazing how you've got to, in a year, let's say, to now, like you say, you can't imagine how it was going to go and what stage you're at now, and the things you're finding out that people want to tell you and want you to be involved with. I mean, to me, it's fascinating. I mean, I could talk to you all night. I'm sure Craig could as well. I'm sure we can.
Jared ain't going to let you.
No, I know he's not. He was already bored of me once. He's already gone once. So.
Well, let's see. This thing has the ability for me to share my screen, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Click on share. All right. So check this out. Okay. So this is my map of the U.S. of volunteers and locations and stuff in the water. Look, I'm only on the West Coast right now. Wait a minute. Look. Okay,
oh my God.
Yeah. So as you can see, I'm not going to have any dryness of content as we travel the U.S. So we're going to be heading over here. Here's where the snowcat is at. And then from there, that's September 21st, 22nd. And then from there, we're taking an RV and we're going to go start hitting all of this stuff.
Wow.
Kind of route up through here.
Fantastic.
But tow truck drivers across the here, how do I stop sharing? So anyway, so I've got tow truck drivers across the U.S., just regular volunteers, people with boats, people with the car locations and stories and helicopters, and it's incredible.
They all want to be involved.
They do. They all want to be a part of Adventures with Purpose.
Yeah. Well, so do we now. So we want you to come back in another few months to update us on what you've done.
So besides,
I might be too big for you guys by then, though. I don't know.
Yeah,
really too busy for us.
That's a given.
do you not know who we are?
Yeah.
So, Jared, besides what you've just shown us there, what else does the future hold? Because I heard a rumor that you're going to do some sort of trek.
I just told you a trek. I just showed you the map of a few locations.
Oh, is that the trek you're talking about? I didn't put the two together. I thought it was.
Craig, welcome to part 3 of our podcast series.
Okay, now.
So we're in September. So in September, we're going to go get the snowcat.
I got it later.
And then immediately after that snowcat, since we're already halfway to some of our destinations,
Off you go on the trek.
Then we're just going to keep going because we're already 18 hours.
I'll play it back to him. Don't worry. I'll play it back. Like, try doing that again. And
so yes, myself and Sam, the Adventure Man, and it looks like Mark is going to go with us, the older gentleman that's in a lot of our videos. So he's going to go with us. And so, yeah, so I'm actually picking up an RV thanks to the viewers who have allowed the finances to come in to actually allow us to do this. We'll have a 29, 30-foot RV with a trailer that will hit the road for a month.
So I guess because of coronavirus, our invites have got lost in the post or something.
They did, yeah. Check your spam folder. I think that they've been held under the virus section.
Yeah. Craig, try doing that thing again where you say, "What have you got coming up?" and talk about his workout videos.
Yeah. So that trek looks really interesting that I now know about. So that trek looks really interesting. But there's something else, Joe. I've got to say, you're looking incredibly fit compared to some of the older videos. Is there something there that we need to know about? Are you on some sort of mad fitness regime?
I appreciate you actually checking that out because, yeah, the double chins have gone away. I mean, when I'm in the dry suit and it pushes up a little bit, I mean, you can see I still have some there. But
I recognize you now.
Yeah. No, during this whole, stay in place, shelter in place orders, I actually teamed up with another buddy of mine who owns a gym who had to shut down his gym during this. And he's a trainer. And I said, listen, since you're not doing anything, I said, and this dad bod has gotten out of hand, I said, let's put together a fitness workout like no other. So I gave him like all this criteria. I said, first of all, it has to be first thing in the morning because I'm diving in the afternoon. I'm too exhausted in the evening. It has to be 22 minutes or less. I said, I don't have time for pre-stretching, post-stretching, and, and I enjoy food. And so at the end of it, every day, I need to make sure that we satisfy my sweet tooth. And so I get at 100 calories of anything I want in the evenings, and you can't tell me no. He came. Oh, and I said also I can do anything for 30 seconds or 60 seconds. I said don't make me work out any one thing more than 60 seconds. So this thing is called Arc Revolution. It's going to be launched in a week or two. Anyways, it kind of goes like this because your first workout is 10 seconds, then 15 seconds, then 20 seconds, 25 seconds, 30 seconds. By the time you get to 30 seconds, you're like, oh, I'm beat. Now it starts going back down 25, 20, 15, 10. And the whole thing is done within 22 minutes. It's so easy. I'm actually losing weight on it as well. We're 68 days into it right now. I'm down 30 pounds. Feel incredible. So we're changing the world in many ways, not just with cleaning up the environment, but also helping people focus on their health and well-being as well as mine. Because one of the things that I really noticed, especially on that Nathan recovery video, I mean, we're in a river current where, if I didn't even have the strength back then that, I have a lot more now, but if I didn't have the strength, it's like, I can't serve people if I don't have my own health and well-being in check. If I'm not strong, if I'm weak, these families are going to continue to suffer. And so for that reason, that gave me the motivation drive to actually get back into better shape again, get rid of this dad bod, and, be able to help and serve other people. So anyway,
clearly you can see it's working. If I knew anybody else that I could do that with,
I'll be signing up for it. I tell you, it sounds like my perfect thing. So
yeah,
sure, I can eat what I want. I can do what I want. I can do a bit extra. I can lose 30 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm in.
So what's great about it is, he's where he's at. We've been Zooming every single day. So we've recorded it. We have 3 different camera angles set up. So you're not missing anything. You get to hang out with me and Dennis every single day for a half hour. You got to listen to my antics, shenanigans, my stories. I'm on day 1. You're on day 1. You're on day 37. You're on day 37 with me as I'm going through this. It's psychological as well. What are my thoughts, my feelings? Where am I stumbling? What kinds of stories are you listening to? Like, well, you might have pushed it too far this time, but they're all good stories. But so anyway, it's an incredible workout. It's real. It's authentic. And the good news about it is, it's like $97 for the entire, series. You'll get like 99 days of workouts with us, kind of a one-on-one type of a deal. You can mute me if you want to. You can just do the workouts if you want to. But here's the other good thing is this money is used for good. It's going back into and allowing me to serve other people.
You need any equipment to do it?
I mean, bands are good. I mean, if you have like a set of bands, I mean, if you don't have a set of bands, grab some milk jugs and fill them up or something. I mean, it is all possible. So I do it right here in the garage in a little, 8x8 space every morning.
Cool. And so where do we find out about this?
It's actually going to be arcrevolution.com. The website is not up yet, but it will be up in the next week or two. So it's arcrevolution.com.
Okay. And is it on YouTube as well?
So it'll be a membership access is what it'll be too. So you'll be able to sign up for it, and then it'll take you to a private members area.
Excellent. So once that's all set up, maybe you can give us the details. We'll put it up and add it to this video.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. And you got 2 signees straight away.
That's excellent.
Definitely. Yep. So look, Jared, 1 hour, 32 minutes. We've only gone 2 minutes and 5 seconds over.
You better wrap it up because I drank a lot of water and I got to pee. So on that note, as I say, later. Bye-bye. Now, is there anything else I can do for you guys today?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. Brilliant.